We will know every time you lie.
Legitimate interrogation techniques or illegal torture? Tonight, we recreate 48 hours in Guantanamo Bay. All the interrogation methods you will see have been officially sanctioned by the United States government and used to fight the war on terror. January 2002. After the coalition victory in Afghanistan, US forces started transporting over 500 detainees to its naval base in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. The Pentagon branded them Al-Qaeda terrorists. Quote, the most dangerous, best-trained, vicious killers on the face of the earth. It sanctioned a raft of interrogation techniques, including sensory deprivation, religious humiliation, and severe physical pain. But these methods have been hidden from public scrutiny. Even lawyers representing the detainees have been denied access to their clients. Tonight, to help judge what's happening at Guantanamo, we've reconstructed its conditions and methods. Using US military manuals and declassified government documents, we've created cages, interrogation rooms, and surveillance equipment. 7 British men have volunteered to be detained for 48 hours and questioned by former US military interrogators. We cannot subject our volunteers to the full range of techniques used in Guantanamo. That would be too dangerous. But what you are about to see is both shocking and upsetting. The Bush administration argues that the use of coercive interrogation methods is necessary to extract vital intelligence in the war on terror. Human rights lawyers argue these are torture. So, can such methods ever be justified, even in a world post 9/11?
Salam alaikum.
Day 1, 0900 hours. Our 7 volunteers, including 3 Muslims, start to arrive.
Salam alaikum. I'm Alex Standish, good to meet you. I'm the military intelligence advisor for this exercise.
Waiting in the wings for the volunteers are Team Delta, a squad of ex-US Army guards and interrogators. With extensive experience in Vietnam and the Middle East, they're all familiar with the methods in use at Guantanamo. The volunteers have been told the exercise will begin later in the day and are expecting a friendly briefing and some breakfast.
The next time you see my face after that, the exercise will be over for you. Good.
Don't move! Hold still! Hold still! Hold still! If you fight, I'll hurt you! Get up! Get out of the goddamn tail now!
To approximate the trauma of capture, the volunteers are ambushed.
Move it! Let's go! Move, move, move! Walk! Go! Move! Let's go! Spread out! Feet apart! He said to the left! Look at me. Look at him.
Look down at the ground.
What are you looking at?
I didn't say down on the ground. Get up! I said look down at the ground.
Most of the Guantanamo detainees had been captured in Afghanistan, many sold to the Americans by local warlords. They were already severely traumatized when they arrived.
Shoes off, socks off.
You think he's talking to me?
I think.
What was it?
Turn around. Bend over. Touch the ground. Spread your ass. Show me if you got anything in there. Just like your boyfriend.
A politics and philosophy student at Oxford University, Chris Gelf has dual American and British nationality. At the start, he is ambivalent about Guantanamo.
The ends justify the means. We have to protect our citizens and our way of life, and against threats, be they large or small scale, we need to sort of find out about threats and deal with them. But I think that has to happen within some framework of absolute values on which your society is based.
Your scrotum! Lift it! Your balls! Lift them up!
Lift them up so I can see. Lift them up!
Maybe he doesn't know he has any.
Open your mouth.
The Guantanamo detainees range from teenagers to the elderly.
Excuse me?
At 49, Pete Dewhurst is our oldest volunteer. He supports what's happening at Guantanamo.
These guys are there because they were caught somewhere near a terrorist organisation, within a terrorist organisation, within a battle. And if they've got information, like I say, that will save people's lives, will stop something happening in the future, then yes, absolutely, they should stay there for as long as necessary to get that information out of them.
Your name is 73, you understand that? 91 is your new name. This is what you will be known by.
Put it on!
26-year-old Usama Tariq is a British Muslim. He's taking part because he wants to publicise the plight of the Guantanamo detainees.
I feel the detainees currently being held in Guantanamo Bay against their will are being tortured. They're living in inhumane situations, like animals, not like human beings. They're not treated like human beings.
When they arrived at Guantanamo, the detainees were classified as unlawful enemy combatants and stripped of the protections afforded to prisoners of war under the Geneva Conventions. Those that remain have now been held for up to 3 years without trial. But despite their non-POW status, the US government insists that they are treated within the spirit of international law.
And what's taking place down there is responsible, it's humane, it's legal, it's proper, it's consistent with the Geneva Conventions.
Yet behind the scenes, the administration was rewriting the legal definition of torture. In August 2002, the Assistant Attorney General claimed that coercion was only torture if it caused pain
so severe that death, organ failure, or permanent damage resulting in a loss of significant body function will likely result.
Anything less, they argued, was legitimate and justifiable in the interests of national security. Within 3 months, a new set of guidelines for interrogation was introduced, personally approved by Donald Rumsfeld. It sanctioned prolonged and painful stress positions, sleep deprivation, 20-hour interrogations, removal of clothing, exposure to extremes of temperature, and the use of mild, non-injurious physical contact.
Stand! Stand! Stand!
To soften up the volunteers for interrogation, the guards increased their physical and mental stress.
Walk in place, 73. Left, left, left. When I say left, that left foot better be on the ground.
As at Guantanamo, our volunteers are constantly monitored by medics. A healthy male should have a resting pulse rate of around 70 beats per minute.
And the average pulse in the room right now at a resting rate is around 100. That's a pretty good indicator that it's working. So it's clinical. We're going to say, okay, the minute their pulse starts to drop, they need more stress. And then we'll keep track of them.
Drink. With stress comes dehydration. The volunteers are forced to drink copious amounts of water.
Drink.
But in Guantanamo, the detainees are frequently denied use of toilet facilities.
Left, left, left. You're in the designated area to urinate.
Can I piss outside my clothes?
No! No, you cannot. Don't want to expose yourself.
I have to piss outside my clothes.
No, you cannot.
No, I have to piss inside my clothes.
Inside your clothes, yes.
Can I not go outside in the corner?
You are in a corner. You're in a corner. Low as you are standing.
Can I not?
No, you cannot.
I have to piss in my clothes.
You have to do as you're standing. What is difficult with that?
My clothes will get dirty.
Oh, it's the sadness of it all.
Personal humiliation is part of a Pentagon-authorized technique called Pride and Ego Down. It's designed to shatter self-esteem.
You need to sit down and pee?
I'm urinating.
It's your choice. This is a very neat trick to urine on both legs at one time. I've never seen that before. How you do this thing? You ambidextrous, isn't it? Very well, take him away. Walk. Just left. Walk. This one.
When they arrived at Guantanamo, each detainee was housed in a metal cage, complete with hard metal bed and ablutions bucket. They were issued so-called comfort items, including blankets and a copy of the Quran. proof, the Americans claim, of their religious sensitivity. But before he started the exercise, Fawzi Warich was not convinced.
I do feel a sense of solidarity with people in Guantanamo, simply because a lot of them are the same religion as me. I mean, we're Muslims, and a lot of Muslims all over the world are being treated in such a manner where they're not given full rights as human beings.
Cleanliness is a central tenet of Islam. So, before evening prayer, Fawzi asks for a fresh jumpsuit.
Why?
Because they forced me to urinate in my suit, sir.
No one forced you. I was there.
They said you either you hold it in forever or you urinate.
And you chose to do what?
I chose to urinate there, sir.
Then don't say you were forced to do that on yourself.
Sorry,
you
sir.
had a choice.
I believe I had no choice, sir.
You believe what you believe. You had a choice.
Sir.
To do or not to do. You chose to do. Answer is no. The arrow points to Mecca.
I told you to drink your water every time. Open your mouth. Is it under your tongue?
3 hours into the exercise and routine medical checks reveal that Pete's core body temperature has dropped several degrees.
Can you feel the cold of the floor coming up through your body? Can you? Answer me.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
The Pentagon has sanctioned what it calls environmental manipulation, exposing detainees to uncomfortably hot and cold temperatures for up to 24 hours at a time. In the cell block, it is 6 degrees Celsius. Not freezing, but dressed only in thin cotton jumpsuits, the volunteers are suffering. The interrogators have been told that one or more of the volunteers may have links with a terrorist group that we've invented. Their role is to use their skill and Rumsfeld's techniques to extract this information. Pakistan-born Fawzi Warich is first in line.
Have you ever been back to Pakistan?
Yes.
When?
In the summer was the last time.
This past summer?
Yes, this past
Where did you visit this past summer?
Islamabad.
Which dates were you in Islamabad?
For about the month of August.
The entire month of August?
I believe.
Exploiting the debilitating effects of the cold, the interrogator is able to twist Fawzi's words.
How do you classify yourself? How do you think of yourself?
Well, Pakistan is an Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and they're a Muslim country, and so my allegiances lie with Muslims and Muslim countries.
Over UK?
If their cause is the just cause.
What you're telling me is that for the right cause, you sat here and told me that for the right cause you would go to war with the UK. Right?
Yes, sir, if they were, for example...
That's all I want to hear. Stand.
They're preparing your food now. Can you smell it cooking?
At Guantanamo, detainees can spend hours every day short-shackled. Their hands and feet are chained together, restricting movement to an absolute minimum. Eating can be a challenge.
I have your food.
Our volunteers get dry, vacuum-packed sachets. Fawzi has particular requirements.
Eat.
I have a request, sir.
What?
Do you have vegetarian, sir?
No.
I can't eat meat, sir.
Well, that's very sad.
After 8 hours of extreme stress, even dried food is welcome. But Pete Dewhurst isn't hungry. He's displaying the early signs of hypothermia. A combination of stress and the cold is taking its toll. British-born Usama Tariq is next in line for questioning.
What are you doing here?
I'm just working, not doing anything wrong.
Did I say you were doing anything wrong?
Just earning a living.
How are you earning your living here?
I'm earning an honest living, helping young disadvantaged kids.
And where do you meet them?
Recruit them from the streets, just know them.
You recruit kids from the streets?
Yeah.
Once again, an honest answer is given a sinister interpretation.
Move. Walk. Move. Move.
Pete's temperature is dangerously low. A recently leaked Red Cross report reveals that at Guantanamo, doctors have colluded with interrogators to exploit detainees' weaknesses. But for our medic, the health of the volunteers is paramount. He insists that Pete is withdrawn from the exercise after just 10 hours.
I had very staunch, strong views beforehand. Even though this has been a short experience, I think I'm far more sympathetic to what's going on over there than I was before. I was lucky in so much that I was pulled. In the real situation, that wouldn't have happened, of course. And the detainees, I feel really sorry for them. I would hate to think what real long-term effect it would have on a person being in there for that period of time.
You terrorist motherfucker!
For the remaining volunteers, there's another 38 hours to go. And the interrogators are about to pile on the pressure.
And answer my question, stupid.
It's 12 hours into our recreation of the Guantanamo Bay regime. The 6 remaining volunteers have already been stripped naked, humiliated and exposed to extreme cold.
Lights out, ladies. Pleasant dreams.
It's about to get worse. The Pentagon has repeatedly insisted that sleep deprivation is not permitted in Guantanamo. Instead, Donald Rumsfeld specifically approved what he called sleep adjustment. This means constantly interrupting the detainees' sleep patterns to cause maximum disorientation. The guards make them swap cells arbitrarily.
Get yours on. Hurry up now!
This technique is known as scenery up, scenery down.
Get up! Stop. Kneel. Kneel. Take that blanket off. Step up. Kneel. Kneel. Get your hands off your arm. Put it on!
Scenery up, scenery down not only disorientates the detainees, it also stops them making friends with men in other cells.
Get up, kid. Get up. Get up. Get up.
It is the middle of the night, and Chris is woken up for questioning.
Hurry up. You won't have them.
At Guantanamo, interrogations can take place at any time and last for up to 20 hours. Chris is determined to refuse to answer any questions until his interrogators identify themselves as required by the Geneva Conventions.
Sit. Okay, you can take your hood off. Take it off. Morning, sunshine.
Morning.
Do you think you might know something?
Oh, fuck, we know he knows.
Do you think you might be ready to answer some questions?
No, sir, I'm afraid I'm not.
You're not ready to answer any questions?
Not until I know who you are and why I'm here.
Chris knows this is an exercise, but he's visibly distressed.
Quit shaking. I think I'd be a lot more concerned about wanting us to know who you are, given the situation you're in, because we're not sitting here with restraints on our wrists. We're not sitting here shivering.
U.S. Secretary of State for Defense Donald Rumsfeld authorized interrogators to use deception, to exploit phobias such as fear of dogs, and to inflict mild, non-injurious physical contact.
I'm glad we have an understanding.
Released detainees say their captors beat them unconscious, threatened to murder their families, and forcibly held their heads down the toilet.
Go ahead and put your hood back on.
For now, Chris is given a brief respite. He's missed breakfast and is told to eat in double-quick time.
13 shivering. 13, what can you do about that?
Because they complained about the temperature, the others are made to exercise.
2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2.
Hurry up and eat. Do the push-ups now. Do the push-ups now.
Sweat stage.
Do the push-up.
Frustrated that they are not getting more information, the interrogators have instructed the guards to increase the pressure.
Straighten them out. Keep them up high. On the floor on your back.
The advantage of prolonged stress positions is that they cause intense pain without visible physical damage.
Oh! Straighten them out. Steady. Rock steady. Rock steady. Pain is good.
Stress, combined with sleep deprivation, a hurried breakfast and forced exercise, has a predictable impact on Chris.
6, quickly. 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Released detainees say that they suffered cruel and inhumane treatment, including forcible injections, water torture, sexual assault, and years of solitary confinement. Their claims have been dismissed out of hand by the American government, but the FBI are harder to ignore. When their agents went into Guantanamo, they were shocked by what they saw. These secret emails were recently declassified and released under America's Freedom of Information Act. They make grim reading. One FBI agent wrote, he observed treatment that was not only aggressive, but personally very upsetting.
On a couple of occasions, I entered interview rooms to find a detainee chained hand and foot in a fetal position on the floor. Most times they had urinated or defecated on themselves and had been left there for 18 to 24 hours or more.
At the point of capture, all volunteers had their personal possessions with them.
2 cell phones, one of which is a camera phone.
Some of them had also agreed to carry items which could possibly be incriminating.
See what pictures he has stored up.
Usama was found with a mobile phone with images downloaded from the internet of Westerners being executed in Iraq. He's told the guards that he bought the phone from a friend and didn't know how to delete the videos.
And this one has Arabic on it.
Convinced that they have found incriminating evidence, the interrogators decide to give Usama a hard time. Isra Iqbal is dragged in to witness his humiliation.
Stand there.
You maggot motherfucker! I've been looking at your cell phone. You know what the fuck I'm talking about, don't you? Your little fucking video collection. You terrorist motherfucker! God damn it, I'm fucking tired of people like you.
What do you mean?
What do you think I fucking mean? What do you think? I found your cell phone. You know what you have in those video collection, don't you? Don't you?
Yes, sir.
What the fuck were you doing with that?
It's a phone that I purchased very recently from someone.
Is that what your fucking religion does for you? Is that what your lifestyle does for you? Is tolerate that kind of bullshit?
No, it's wrong. I only purchased that from last week, so...
When I saw those videos, I was appalled.
That's not acceptable.
It's not acceptable that you're carrying it around!
It's not acceptable in my religion.
It's yours!
You don't have a religion. I think you have a religion in name only. You have no religion.
I don't
You have no religion.
I have.
Kufar.
I'm Muslim. No, I'm a Muslim.
A Muslim of convenience, I would say.
Those videos say otherwise.
US military interrogators are specially taught about Muslim culture. One of the most popular training manuals is called The Arab Mind, which argues that Muslims only understand force, shame, and humiliation.
Where have you been in the States?
I've never been to the States, sir.
You ever been to Canada?
No, I haven't been to Canada.
Saudi Arabia?
Yes, I have, sir.
Can tell them about Chop Chop Square?
About?
Tell everybody about Chop Chop Square?
chopped square.
Public executions?
I've never been to see that, sir.
You don't know what you're missing.
Here, take this back, motherfucker, terrorist son of a bitch.
Former Guantanamo detainees say that their faith was constantly ridiculed, the Holy Quran defaced, and even thrown into the toilet.
What have they just called you?
Terrorist.
I think you're all terrorists. And your religion is what?
I'm a Muslim.
Oh, you're Muslim.
If you want a clear explanation, I suggest you do some studies.
I suggest you do some studies in your mind and answer my question, stupid. Do you like to see dead people?
No, sir.
Do you like to mutilate dead bodies?
No, sir.
You support terrorism?
No, sir.
You are Muslim?
Yes, sir.
"20 hours into the exercise.
Look at this idiot's hands.
We had the same problem earlier today.
Push his cuffs up.
Chris's discoloured hands are a warning sign to the guards.
I think he's tightened them.
Yes, I watched him move them up.
Self-harm has been a constant problem at Guantanamo. By September 2003, suicide attempts were averaging 2 a week. On one occasion, 23 detainees tried to hang themselves en masse.
Why have you done that to yourself, stupid? Answer me.
I found them more comfortable.
You found them more comfortable? Can you not see your hands are discolored? You not see the mark it makes on your stupid wrist? You want your fingers and your hands to fall off, idiot? Do you?
No, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you idiot.
To avoid political embarrassment, the Pentagon reclassified suicide attempts as manipulative self-injurious behavior. The official suicide rate dropped to almost zero overnight.
Inflict harm upon himself, and I'm punishing you for that. You understand that? You know what he's done?
Prolonged periods of boredom, interrupted by fear and stress, create an unnerving environment designed to destabilize the Guantanamo detainees. The guards know that for a Muslim to be stripped naked in front of others is deeply humiliating.
Look before you, a terrorist who thinks that everything is okay. Let go. Anything is justified. You told us this.
Go.
Terrorist.
Look at him.
Terrorist, fine.
You stupid terrorist. On your knees. Go to your knees. On your knees. You will look at him. Stupid idiot.
How does it feel to be found out to be a terrorist?
I'm not a terrorist.
How does it feel?
Stupid pig!
No morals, no principles, nothing. Take
See what happens to terrorists. Take a stupid terrorist you with you.
Neil.
At this stage, Usama decided he could take no more of the exercise. He had lasted just 28 hours.
As a Muslim, it's forbidden to show any private parts to anybody else. Had they have taken my clothes off in front of people who I didn't know, I would have been very humiliated. My heart bleeds for those detainees currently in Guantanamo, guilty or not guilty. I feel a scar would be left in their minds for the rest of their lives.
What are you doing here?
Only 5 volunteers now remain, and with less than a day to go, the interrogators must resort to their toughest methods yet.
This is what you are to me.
The volunteers are 36 hours into the exercise. At the real Guantanamo, more than 500 prisoners are now entering the 4th year of incarceration, still with no prospect of a trial. Before all 9 British detainees were released, Foreign Office officials and British MI5 officers regularly visited the detention camp. But the British government has never publicly criticised the coercive techniques used there by interrogators. It is the middle of the night, but the guards wake the volunteers with the morning call to prayer. At Guantanamo, the guards take any opportunity to provoke the Muslim detainees.
Get up, 73!
Do you need anything for your prayer time? Do you need anything for your prayer time?
Previously, the guards have deliberately made it hard for Fawzi Warich to prepare himself for prayer by giving him only ice-cold water to wash in.
What do you need?
Nothing, sir.
Nothing? Before you needed water, you not need water?
Water's too cold, sir.
What?
Water's too cold, sir.
Oh, so if it's inconvenient for you, that it doesn't matter, is that what you're saying?
No, when you don't have water, sir, you use dust instead.
Well, you have water if you want it.
It's too cold, sir.
Oh, so it's inconvenient for you to be uncomfortable in your religion? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
A very interesting religion. Continue.
Thank you, sir.
Fawzi opts for the ancient Islamic purification ritual of washing with dust.
Guards. Everyone at once, put them in front and go in and check their stalls.
Detainees at Guantanamo are never allowed to settle. To cause them even further stress, the guards carry out frequent and random searches.
You want them in cuffs?
3 steps forward and kneel, it's fine.
3 steps forward and kneel. 3 steps forward.
It's an opportunity for humiliation. The guards target Gary Turner by planting a porn magazine in his cage.
What is that?
Look at this. This is 91s.
Released Guantanamo detainees have reported a variety of sexual humiliation techniques.
What is this, 91?
I have no idea, sir.
It's in your cell.
It's in your room.
They say they have been threatened with rape, demeaned by prostitutes brought into the camp, smeared with menstrual blood, and degraded by pornography.
Innocent victim of circumstance, once again.
This isn't your stuff?
Let me ask you something. You know anyone who's homosexual?
No, I do not, sir.
Before he volunteered for the exercise, Gary Turner supported the use of coercive interrogation techniques.
Sometimes circumstances will dictate stronger methods of interrogation than the legal ones put forward. I believe that it's necessary to use them to extract the right information to save lives.
You have a friend who's homosexual?
Yes, I do.
What does that say about your moral fiber?
As the guards haul Gary off for further questioning, the rest of the prisoners are put into stress positions. Because of his continuing defiance, Chris Gelf is singled out. Although enforced stress positions are illegal under international law, the Pentagon has sanctioned their use for up to 4 hours.
Sir, cramp, sir.
This is defined as torture by the United Nations.
It's slipping, sir. It's cramped. It's cramped. It's cramped. The side of us is gone.
It's a cramp? What do you mean to do about it? Give more water.
The guards repeatedly allow Chris to recover in order to prolong his agony.
Every time I've told you to do something, you have failed to comply every single time. Every single fucking time you failed to comply with any rule that I've given you. You like to find me?
No, sir.
Then why do you do it?
Because I'm weak.
You're weak.
Yes. I can feel my toes.
We've all had girlfriends help me.
For Gary, there's pressure of a psychological kind. Short-shackled and blindfolded, his interrogators begin to sexually harass him.
Don't shave my body, sir.
Huh?
Sir, could you not stop touching me, please?
Could I not stop touching you?
Could
You
you
better
stop
believe it.
touching me? Thank you very much.
All right, I'm gonna take care of you. You're too tense right now.
Yeah, there's a very
relax.
good reason why.
You relax.
At Guantanamo, detainees have been both sexually harassed and assaulted. The FBI reported one incident that took place during Ramadan, when physical contact with women is particularly offensive to some Muslim men.
The FBI agent observed a female interrogator apparently whispering in the detainee's ear and caressing and applying lotions to his arms. Although the agent could not see her hands at all times, he saw them moving towards the detainee's lap.
I tell you what, I'll take care of you later. Don't worry, okay? Just between you and me.
Concerned about the legality of evidence obtained under duress, the Pentagon withdrew approval for the most extreme coercive techniques in January 2003. But reports from released detainees, the Red Cross and the FBI all confirmed the continuing use of these methods.
Have you had time to reflect on the errors of your ways?
Yes, sir.
You can believe me when I say to you something really bad is going to happen to you that I am going to enjoy very much. Very, very much. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Chris is first placed in solitary confinement. This time, the guards are using sensory deprivation. He's blindfolded and bombarded with white noise. At Guantanamo, detainees say they have spent up to 18 months in total isolation. FBI reports detailed their deteriorating mental health. One agent noted of prisoners
extreme psychological trauma, talking to non-existent people, reporting hearing voices.
Another agent wrote,
the detainee was almost unconscious on the floor, with a pile of hair next to him. He had apparently been literally pulling his own hair out throughout the night.
Detainee, have you enjoyed your meal?
For the other volunteers, it's dinner time. More dried food. Having thrown up his first meal, Chris has now missed his second. Weak with hunger and disorientated from solitary confinement and sensory deprivation, he's returned to his cage. But the interrogators haven't finished with him yet. Without warning, guards at Guantanamo can deploy the Extreme Reaction Force, a punishment squad dressed in riot gear.
Stand up. Look to the center. Stand up! Look to the center. Stand up.
Released detainees have reported severe beatings, the use of pepper spray, and forced nudity, a tactic specifically sanctioned by the Pentagon but defined by the United Nations as illegal and degrading.
Look to the front, to him. Do not look away from him. Look at him. You're happy now, are you?
No, sir. Caused yourself your own grief, didn't you?
Yes,
sir.
Keep your hand up, you terrorist. You should be very happy. Your little ego is satisfied now, isn't it?
No, sir.
Oh, no, it isn't, but it will be.
This is what happens to liars. This is what will continue to happen to liars. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
I didn't hear you. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Get down. Out forward.
You don't deserve to walk like men.
Walk on the ground.
Move it!
Like the animal you are. Stay down.
This is what happens to life. A mission of truth.
We've made reservations for you to include entertainment.
Another session of white noise, but this time shackled in a stream of cold air. The UN defines this as torture. Laboratory experiments in sensory deprivation have shown that subjects begin to hallucinate after just 40 minutes. FBI agents discovered detainees in Guantanamo left for up to 24 hours, shaking with cold in air-conditioned rooms with strobe lights and loud music.
What are you doing here? You idiot!
Sensory deprivation is followed by rapid-fire interrogation. Because of information planted by us, the interrogators believe that Chris has been raising money for a Palestinian charity with terrorist links.
How much money? What did you donate? Who did you give the money to?
Where is the location
Why are
of
you
the
lying?
organization?
Where'd the money go?
Do you know, sir?
How much money did you contribute?
What money, sir?
Take him away.
This is actually a lease permit.
What have you allowed to happen to you? Answer me. Look at me and answer me.
Don't know, sir.
I told you many bad things are going to happen to you. You happy not telling the truth? Are you? Answer me. Answer me.
No, sir.
Why don't you tell the truth?
I told you all I know.
Very well.
You didn't know this prison had a barber shop, did you?
No, sir.
Who next? Free chops.
At Guantanamo, individual punishments are often staged publicly to intimidate other detainees. US Secretary of State for Defense Donald Rumsfeld approved a technique called forced grooming, including shaving Muslims, many of whom grow their beards out of respect for Muhammad. This makes it illegal under the Geneva Conventions, which state that POWs must be allowed to exercise their religious duties.
Blindfold.
No. Smooth.
$13, you like seeing that?
No, sir.
13, I think you like what you
Mr.
see.
Pop-
I think you liked it, you're next.
No, sir. No, sir. Why not?
You want 9-3 to be next then?
No, sir.
Which one, 13, you or 9-3?
Your parents did not raise that. None of us, sir.
No, you don't have that option. You or 9-3?
Me, sir.
You? Okay, we got a volunteer for next.
Are you cold?
Yes, sir.
There's not much more for you to lose, is there?
No, sir.
But you're wrong. There's much for you to lose. Dignity, self-respect, self-image, all these little tiny parts of your psyche that I'm going to take a scalpel to and dissect and take apart and play with. I'm going to eat your psyche. This is what you are to me.
Fauci is hauled in to see what's happening to Chris.
My friend, you see what fate awaits liars? Do you?
Yes, sir.
What do you think? You just tell me how you call it.
All you need to do, just tell us the truth.
I will.
And this doesn't have to happen to you. What do you think?
Your turn is here.
It's coming very soon.
Put him away. I'll be back for him.
After 2 hours of sensory deprivation, Chris asked to speak to his interrogator.
What do you want to talk about?
I've had enough. I'll already tell you everything.
It has taken just 40 hours to break him.
That's me done. I can take no more. I went out.
Before the exercise, Chris was ambivalent about Guantanamo Bay. Now he's clear.
The idea that we could put someone in Guantanamo indefinitely is, I think, inhuman. And having been through a mild simulation of that, the idea of that without end really terrifies me. And it completely torpedoes the sort of presumption of innocence versus guilt, because by the time they try you, you're going to be insane. I mean, you really are. And for that reason alone, I think Guantanamo, even if we use it only for the most evil of evil, I now have very serious reservations about it.
Come out of yourselves and come here. Stand in front of me. I'm tired of telling you. Look at my eyes. Have I told you that too also,
sir.
haven't I? Never told you?
Yes, sir.
And you?
Only 4 of the original 7 volunteers have lasted to the end of the exercise.
Gentlemen, for you, the exercise is over. Congratulations.
Please, gentlemen, turn around and you can meet your captors.
The 540 prisoners who remain incarcerated at Guantanamo Bay have no way out. And, having experienced just 48 hours of treatment mild in comparison, our volunteers are clear about the devastating effect on the real detainees.
With the sensory deprivation, I did start to see a couple of Disney characters, which scared me a little bit that I might be starting to hallucinate. And if that's only within sort of 1.5 to 2.5 days, what the effects of long-term incarceration under those conditions will do to people, God only knows.
I'm sure there's people that admit to something that they haven't really done at all. They may well have been completely innocent, and they've thrown their hands up to something that they have nothing to do with whatsoever.
The interrogators would be going and they'd be saying, just tell me the truth, tell me the truth, tell me the truth, I'll make it all better. And they'd like, give me some information. And of course, I didn't have any information. And many times, I mean, it wasn't even tempting to make something up, even maybe to the extent of implicating one of the other people just to get out. That was very tempting.
So is what's happening at Guantanamo justified in the war on terror? The first test is a practical one. What is the quality of the intelligence extracted? The US government says it has saved lives. But there is no independent evidence to support that claim. Indeed, some British detainees have signed confessions in Guantanamo which were later proven to be false. But the bigger issue is a moral one. Do the practices at Guantanamo betray the very values the West claims to be defending? Liberty, democracy, the rule of law, and above all, humanity.